We started. Torah Hey, BaChatzotzrot, part 6. So this was the story that Rabbi Barchana was recounting about this fish. It was humongous fish. They were sailing in the ocean, and they were between the two fins, and the fish was so huge that from one fin to the other, it took them 3 days and 3 nights, and the fish was going one direction, they were going the opposite direction, and it's not like they weren't sailing really quickly. They were sailing so quickly, they were sailing quicker than an arrow can reach its target. And still, it took them 3 days and 3 nights. So Rabbi Nachman started explaining what every part of the story is alluding to. And he spoke about how the 3 days and 3 nights is the mitzvot. And he spoke about how the fish going in one direction and us going in the other direction is how our simcha and Hashem's simcha, our simcha is in Hashem and Hashem's simcha is in us. So it's in two opposite directions. And he was speaking about how our simcha is in the mitzvah itself, in the experience of the mitzvah itself, being present in the actual mitzvah, whereas to a point where we're not at all looking for thinking about the reward in the next world. We're thinking about the pleasure of the spiritual pleasure, the pleasure from that connection to Hashem that we can experience in the moment, presently in the Torah and the mitzvot. And then now he says, how do we achieve this simcha? And that's also going to be hinted to in the story of Abba Barachana. And then he explains, how do we achieve this simcha? Through this aspect of thunder. When Rav Dimi came by, he said that how quickly was our ship? Our ship was going the speed that it takes. Our ship was going, if it would take a certain amount of time to heat up water, we were going 60 parses in that amount of time. That's how quickly we were sailing. So what is that hinting to? This kemecham kumkuma demaya, heating up the water kettle. This is the aspect, it's alluding to the aspect of the thunder hitting, meeting up with and being expressed within the moach of chokhmah, within the consciousness of chokhmah. And from there, it causes thunder. From there, it causes rain to come down. So shitin ze b'chinat gvurot. 60 is the aspect of the gevura, like we saw earlier, the 60 strong men that surrounded the bed of Shlomo. Hapogin v'galgalta. These gevurot, they hit the consciousness of Chokhmah. They strike the consciousness of Chokhmah, which is the rain cloud. And then it's transformed into thunder. Kala, and that thunder is heard. Where is it heard? It's heard in the heart. This is the aspect that the voice awakens kavana. This is the aspect of what Chazal say, that thunder was created in order to straighten out and realign a person's heart. And afterwards he said that the main strengthening of Gevura, how is the Gevura strengthened? It's through its connection and its inclusion with Chesed. You have to include the left and the right canal, as we saw earlier. And even though that you're eventually going to connect both of them together and include the left in the right, you have to begin with the fear. You have to begin with the gevura, with the left side. Because the rule is that someone that loses an object, the one who loses the object, he has to go looking for the object that he lost. So this is a rule that Rabbi Nachman uses to explain to us that you have to start off with the fear. Why? Because the fear is the aspect, the feminine aspect. Gevura is the feminine aspect, whereas the love Ahava chesed is kindness is the male aspect, and if you only had the male aspect, so who is to say that you will merit to find the female aspect, the fear, the gevura? But if you start off with having a proper fear of Hashem, proper gevura, the feminine aspect, so the rule is that the male aspect always finds the female aspect. And because that's the one that loses something that belongs to him, he is the one that will go and find that which he lost. But the thing that is lost, or the one that is lost, is not going to go look for the one that lost that thing. So same way, the female, the wife of a person, is the object that is lost from a person when they come down to this world. So his feminine counterpart is what is lost from him. And the way that it's seen, the way that it's taught is that it's, I mean, obviously nowadays you can't say anything without the feminists getting all worked up, but obviously someone is going to say, oh, but why are you looking at it that way? It's also the female. This is the perspective, this is the way, this is the nature of how things are, the way Chazal taught us, the way the Gemara teaches us, the way the Kabbalah and the Zohar teach us, that it's the male that looks for the female because the female is what is lost from the male. And so if you hold on to the female aspect, which is the fear, and you start off with developing the fear of Hashem and having that fear of Hashem, don't worry about not having the love of Hashem right away, because the love of Hashem will find you. Now will find the fear of Hashem. Because you have the feminine aspect, the male aspect will find that feminine aspect. Don't worry about not having the male aspect right away. That will find you. So that's what he says here. One that loses something will find that which he lost, will go looking for that which he lost. As the Chazal say in the Gemara, the way of a man is to go find. Why is it that we are the ones that are, well, nowadays everything is different, but in a perfect world,
Chava was removed from Adam.
Exactly. So it's straight there in Bereshit. So, and that's also the reason why with the nature, why it's the man that holds open the door for the woman, and the man that goes and tries to court the woman and date her and stuff like that. Why is that? You know, the reason
some people would say, some people would have there's an alternative explanation. I'm not sure what Masechta it's in, but it's called testosterone.
But what's the Kabbalah behind the testosterone? So this is the deeper. This is why that nature is that way. The way of a man is to go looking for the woman. The Gemara, to explain that, it gives us metaphor that it's comparable to someone that lost something. So who's going to go looking for who? The one that was lost, or the one that lost? The one that lost, obviously. Perush, by the way, this is a good answer. You know, if you're giving a shir and you're explaining this idea, and some women in the crowd are not too happy, so you can say, well, we are lost without you. We're the one who lost. Help? When you're not with us, we're the one who's lost. So.
That's right.
That's why we have to look for you.
In order to find ourselves.
Yeah, no, exactly. You see, you have it all figured out. You know, that we have training, special training in this generation, and how to answer these type of questions, right?
You have to, yeah.
You have to. Anyways, so that's why he says you have to start off with yira. The ahava, the love of Hashem, will find you if you have a healthy, proper, developed fear of Hashem. Perush, and now he's going to explain it the way we just did. Ki ahava bechinat ish. The love is the aspect, the male aspect, the man aspect. V'yira hi bechinat isha. And fear is the aspect, the feminine aspect. Kayadua, as it's known. This is a known way of explaining the two aspects of fear and love in the Zohar. By the way, there's a very beautiful explanation I once heard in one morning years ago. I davened in Kolel Chabad in the Old City for Shachrit one morning, and it happened to be that morning there was a Yid there, one of the rabbis that had a baby. I think it was a baby girl, was the first child. And so he was making a kiddush after davening, l'chaim and some cake, the way Chassidim do. Yeah. So I sat down after davening, and at this little kiddush, this is going back, 8 years, 9 years ago. So one of the Chassidim got up and said this. He said this explanation. He said, we know the Gemara says, very famous Gemara, that says that a person who first has daughters before sons, everyone wants to have a son first because of the mitzvah pidyon ben. But the Gemara says that it's also a wonderful thing. The Gemara points out that there is a big significance also in having a daughter first. The Gemara says it this way. The Gemara says that bat tchilat siman yafeh lebanim. So if a person has a daughter first, it's a good siman for the boys that will come afterwards. And there are many, many explanations why that is. But this chassid got up and he said from one of the Chabad Rebbes, I think the Rebbe Rashab, that a daughter, the female, is the aspect of Yira, as we know, from the Zohar, and as we see here. Right. And the male, the sons, is the aspect of Ahava, of Chesed, of love of Hashem. Right. And so the Gemara is telling us that having a daughter first, meaning a person that starts off with developing a proper, healthy fear of Hashem, it's a good siman for the love of Hashem that will come afterwards, because it shows that love is true, it's authentic, it's not for ulterior motives.
Very nice.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's the idea that we see here. And that's why a person has to put the fear of Hashem first. Because then you will by itself, you will develop the ahava automatically. You will merit that the ahava of Hashem will find you, so to speak. You won't have to put so much effort. It will be easy to have a love of Hashem if you develop a healthy fear of Hashem and you make that the primary, you make that the first. Rabbi Nachman in another Torah later on, he says how even though there are two aspects of fear, and there's the fear of Hashem that you're afraid of consequences that would come if we don't fulfill His will, and then like physical consequences in the next world, and then there's a higher fear of Hashem where a person is just in utter awe of Hashem's greatness, that He would never do anything that is aside from or against the will of Hashem. That's the higher field, the yirat haromimut, of awe of the greatness of Hashem. And the way it is explained usually is that the lower fear, the first fear, the fear of the consequences, the fear of quote-unquote punishment, even though we don't have punishment, but consequences, leads to a healthy havat Hashem, a love of Hashem, in the first level. And then that will lead to a higher level of fear of Hashem, the awe of the greatness of Hashem, which will lead to an even higher, greater love of Hashem, which is kind of like a bitul, a chachma, right? So it's kind of like the four letters of Yud Kei Vav Kei. You have the last hey, which leads to the vav, that leads to an awe of Hashem, which comes from like bina, which is deep contemplation of the greatness of Hashem, which is like what they do a lot in Chabad, meditating on the greatness of Hashem. And then that leads to chachma, which is also, as we saw, a side of chesed, which is a bitul, the absolute, such love that you're completely mitbatal, completely nullified, included in Hashem. So, Rabbi Nachman, why I brought this up, is Rabbi Nachman in the later Torah says that even when a person has merited to develop the higher aspect of Yirah of Hashem and the higher aspect of love of Hashem, a person should make sure that he never forgets or never leaves, never let go of that first Yirah, that first fear of the consequence. Even the greatest tzaddik that has a relationship with Hashem on the highest level of love and awe and these high spiritual experiences, experiencing Hashem constantly, should make sure not to let go of that first fear of the consequence, because a person never knows where the Yetzer Hara might lead him, and that's like the outer wall that protects you. So even if you're spending all your time in the inner palace, if the walls on the outside are not strong, so there's always a risk of the enemy finding a way in. So that's what he says. So I just had to say that now that we're speaking about the Yira and the Ava. But
I've personally noticed.
Yeah. What? Yeah,
I've noticed.
You noticed what?
That the enemy is very good at finding ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Gemara says about that Actually, it's a Gemara. It's a Gemara, actually. The Gemara says that Beidna the Yitzhar Tov, late the Matkele, Beidna the Yitzhar, late the Matkele, the Yitzhar Tov. When the Yitzhar Hara is in control, no one remembers the Yitzhar Tov. And that's very, very scary, because a person can have all of these tremendous achievements, spiritual achievements, and then if the Yitzhar Hara takes control, if a person allows the Yitzhar Hara to take control, at that point, that there's the spirit of foolishness that we spoke about, the Rav Shtut. Yeah. There's not even a zecher, not even a remembrance of the Yitzhar Tov. All of that is gone.
That's it. It's in Galus.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So that's why you have to put the Yira of Hashem first. The Ahava will find you if you have that Yira of Hashem. Because the love always will find the fear. Because one that loses something that belonging to him will go looking for that thing that was lost from him. So the Ahava is always looking for the fear of Hashem. Kanal. Kach shamati, says Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Natan. This is Rabbi Natan writing this. He says, Kach shamati mipiva kadosh befeirush. This I heard explicitly, clearly. Rabbi Nachman explained that this is my intention with what I said earlier. He said, explain it to me afterwards clearly, that this is the explanation, that because Rabbi Nachman said he said in short, he said, one who loses an object will go looking for the thing that was lost from him, just like a man goes looking for the wife, like the Gemara says. And then here, this explanation is from Rabbi Natan, that he said that this is how I heard Rabbi Nachman explaining it to me clearly, what he meant in those words. Okay? V'zeu bechinat. So coming back to what we were saying. We were saying that the power of the Gevurah, the way the Gevurah is expressed, revealed powerfully, is when you include it in Chesed. Okay? And even though you need to include it in Chesed, so at the end of the day, you're going to have an integration of both of those midot, both of those energies. You should start off with put the fear first, because the love will come afterwards by itself very easily. It will find you, so to speak. The way I understand it, the way I understand why Rabbi Nachman says this, how the fear needs to be integrated and connected with love in order to be revealed and expressed, is because this is the way I see it, that Gevura, the side of din, the side of fear, is in itself an energy of contraction. There's energies of expansion and contraction. So contraction is like the side of Gevura. It's limitations, limiting, holding back. Whereas the side of Chesed is expansion. And every expression, really, every revelation needs to be some sort of expansion, right? If it was withheld, contracted within itself, there would not be anything
there's no revelation.
with it. What?
No revelation.
Any revelation, yeah. So that's what the way I see why Rabbi Nachman says that the main expression of Gevura is when it's integrated and connected with Chesed, because you need that integration in order to get the characteristic of Chesed so that it can be revealed and expressed. That's the way I see it. So now he says like this, when the archer shoots his arrow, now he's going to explain that part of it. The Amar Rav Ashi said at the end, Hi, Gildena Diyama. What was the wording that Rav Ashi said? He said, this is the Gildena of the sea that has, let me just read it, the Idle Treshitza. This fish, this humongous fish, is called the Gildena of the sea, and it has two fins, right? What does that mean? So look at unbelievable secret that's alluded to in these words. Hi Gildena Diyama. What's this name that he gives it? Gildena. What's Gildena? Says Rabbi Nachman, Gildena hu bechinat shem Agala. Agala, Aleph Gimel Lamed Aleph, is a name of Hashem that we see in Shmona Esrei. It's the acronym of Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai. Okay? Which is the bracha of Gevura, right?
Yes, second bracha.
The second bracha, and the first letters of those words is Aleph Gimel Lamed Aleph. By the way, this name of Hashem is connected to the sea. There's a big secret in how they say in many of the earlier books that we have, the Kabbalistic books, writings, Sfarim, say how if a person is at sea and there is a lot of there's a storm and a lot of problems with the water and all that, then they use this name in order to bring peace to the waves and peace to the sea. So there's an interesting correlation with that here in this story. But anyways, Rabbi Nachman brings this name of Hashem to tell us that it's alluding to Gevura, because this name of Hashem is a name that is representing the Gevura of Malchut especially, as we're going to see. Right? Shem Agala Shehum Bechinat Gevurot. Ki hu Rashi Tevot Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai. Oh, because it's the acronym of the words. You are powerful eternally. You are eternally powerful, Hashem, Kamuva, as is brought in the Arizal. Ki Gildana hu Otiot Alv Gimel Lamed V'Shem Adni B'Shlemut V'Shem Agala Kanal. So now he is going to explain to us the secret of the makeup, the combination of these letters. So he said that the name of Hashem, Aleph Gimel Lamed Aleph, is the letters Aleph Gimel Lamed. What does that represent? I'm not sure right now. And he's not going to even speak about it right now. But the last Aleph of this name represents the name Aleph Daled Nun Yud, which is the Malchut, which is the Gevura. V'Shem Adni Shebishlemut Haynu Shem Aleph Gimel Lamed Al Kanal. And now, based on this, he says like this: V'zeh Pirush. After all of this, now he goes back to the pasuk that he started off the Torah. BaChatzotzrot v'kol shofar, with trumpets and the sound of the shofar. Hariu lifnei hamelech Hashem. You should call out to Hashem, your king. Hainu alideh. So what is that telling us? Hainu alideh bechinat kol denafik kanal. Through this voice that comes out from Gevura, right? The kol, the voice that comes out that awakens the kavana. So it starts off as a voice of Gevura, this powerful voice. Through that, the sea will, the Yiram Hayam, the sea will be thunderous. Naaseh b'chinat re'amim, will become aspect of thunder. B'chinat kol ra'amcha b'galgal, the aspect of what it says that the sound of your thunder was heard in the galgal, which is the consciousness of Chokhmah, the sphere of Chokhmah, of the brain. Tevel v'yoshveva, the continuation of the pasuk. Da bechinat liba ve'orkin dile, k'mo she'amru lo nivreu re'amim. Tevel v'yoshveva is the place where this thunder will be heard. And as we said before, that the thunder, once it's vibrated, once it's expressed from those clouds, and it's revealed from those clouds, so then it's heard to the people of the world. And the people of the world, Rabbi Nachman explained over there, represents the heart of the person. So here too, when it says that the sea is thunderous, it's referring to the people of Tevel, the people of the world, and those the inhabitant, the world and its inhabitants will hear that thunder. And that's referring to the heart that will hear, will feel that expression, that what's going on, what's coming out, what's being expressed and revealed from the consciousness of Chokhmah. And so that's what he says here. Tevel v'yoshvevada b'chinat liba ve'orkin dile. It's alluding to the heart and the arteries. Kemo she'amru lo nivreu re'amim ela lefashet b'hem hakmemiyut shebalev. As the Chazal say that the thunder was created in order to straighten out all of the inconsistencies and all of the disalignment of the heart. Ki tevel otiot tav lev. Why is tevel, which means the world, why does that refer to the heart? So he brings a hint. He says that tevel is the letters tav lev. What does that mean? Tav lishon reshima. Tav is a word that has a connotation of being leaving an inscription, a mark. Kemosh katuv, as we saw earlier in the previous Torah. In Torah Aleph, we saw this. V'hitvita tav, that you have imprinted an imprint. Shenirshama kol balev, that the kol, the voice, is imprinted in the heart. when that voice goes out and that voice meets the consciousness of Chachma, and then it becomes thunder, it's imprinted in the heart. And again, he quotes this Gemara, that the thunder was created in order to straighten out all of the fragmentation of the heart. And through this, so neharot imcha ochaf. We said Yir'am hayam imloot tevel yoshveva. What's the next pasuk in Tehillim? It says that the rivers will clap their hands. Bechinat simcha. That's an expression of joy. Or as we saw earlier, ulishchelev simcha. That when the heart is straightened out, then you have joy. And through that simcha, through that joy, the continuation of that pasuk in Tehillim, that means that the mountains will sing together. Rina can also mean prayer. So that's what he explains. Rina here is prayer. Rina zu tefila. Rina leshon tefila. Kemo shekatuv lishmoa el harina. Like it says that the pasuk that shows us this word Rina has a connotation of prayer. It says over there, listen to the Rina and to the prayer. Listen to the Rina and to the prayer. So we see Rina is a form of prayer. So the mountains are able to pray together. What does it mean together? We're going to see. Harim, the mountains refer to the tzaddikim. Harim bechinat tzaddikim. Hainu, arideh simchat halev yicholim nitpalel ulhalbish et tfilatam b'ma'amar. Through the joy experienced in a heart that has been straightened out and realigned, a person is able, the tzaddikim are able to pray in the proper way according to what is going on, and to enclose their prayer in a ma'amar, in what they're speaking about, in a story, in a sikha or whatnot. When they understood the decree has been finalized, so they don't pray clearly and ask clearly and explicitly for what they're asking for, they include it in a story, included in the Maimer. And that's what it's alluding to when it says that the mountains are praying together. What's the together? It's not that the mountains are together, it's that together that they have put the prayer together with what they are speaking. They enclosed and disguised their prayers in their stories, together in their stories. Okay?
Amazing.
Amen.
Amen.
The end of Torah. Hey.
Yeah. Wow. Good stuff.
Baruch Hashem.
Thank you.
Sean, do you want to speak about what we're doing for the